Imagine a world where July brings blizzards instead of heat waves, where the sun is a pale, ghostly disk behind thick fog, and crops fail across the globe. In 1816, humanity faced a sudden climate crisis, famine, social upheaval, and strange, unexplained phenomena. This was the year without a summer, a global cooling so severe it changed history, inspired legends, and forced thousands from their homes. Even signs like blue-tinted snow hinted at disasters nobody yet understood. Thousands of miles away, on the island of Sumbawa, Mount Tambora erupted in April 1815. The explosion was heard over 1,000 miles, instantly killing tens of thousands and sending a colossal plume of ash and sulfur into the stratosphere, a shadow that would circle the globe and alter the climate for years. The volcanic plume formed a stratospheric veil, reflecting sunlight back into space. Across the world, skies glowed blood red, sunlight barely reached the ground, and a dry, persistent fog lingered. Temperatures began a terrifying drop, and early signs, like odd, bluish snow falling in Europe, foreshadowed the disasters to come. By early 1816, the effects were impossible to ignore. Summer never arrived in the northern hemisphere. Frigid Arctic air streamed south, creating volcanic winters in North America and Europe. Calendars meant nothing as frost persisted through June, July, and even August, leaving people confused, desperate, and fearful. In New England, June 1816 became a month of legends and nightmares. On June 6, a massive snowstorm blanketed the region, with some areas reporting drifts over a foot deep. Farmers who had already planted their corn watched in horror as the frost killed their delicate seedlings. Throughout July and August, ice continued to form on ponds as far south as Pennsylvania. The constant cycle of freezing and thawing destroyed the agricultural cycle, leading to the total failure of most staple crops in the region. Across the Atlantic, Europe fared no better. The continent was still reeling from the exhaustion of the Napoleonic Wars when the cold summer struck. Excessive rain and lack of sunlight led to the worst famine of the 19th century in mainland Europe. In Ireland, the wheat and potato crops failed, leading to starvation and the spread of typhus. In Switzerland, the misery was so profound that the government declared a national emergency as people were forced to eat moss and sawdust to survive the hunger. As crops failed, grain became scarce and bread prices skyrocketed. Across Europe, angry crowds clashed in marketplaces, looted supplies, and rioted in protest. Livestock died or were slaughtered, crippling transport and farming for years. The unusual weather, snow in July, blue-tinted flurries in some regions, was an early warning that the world had shifted. Amidst the endless rain and gloom of 1816, literary greats gathered at Villa Diodati near Lake Geneva. Trapped indoors, Lord Byron suggested a ghost story competition. 18-year-old Mary Shelley conceived Frankenstein, a tale of isolation and nature's terrifying power, a reflection of the dark, sunless world outside, where strange weather hinted at forces beyond understanding. John Polidori, Byron's physician, wrote The Vampire, influencing future horror. Byron himself penned Darkness, imagining a world without sun. These works were inspired not by imagination alone, but by the eerie, unexplained weather, a world where even snow turned blue, foreshadowing disasters no one yet understood. One surprising consequence of the crop failure was a leap in transportation technology. Because so many horses had died or been slaughtered for meat during the famine, the cost of animal-powered travel became prohibitive. This inspired German inventor Karl von Dries to create the Laufmaschine, or running machine. This two-wheeled, steerable wooden frame was the direct ancestor of the modern bicycle. Without the volcanic eruption of Tambora and the subsequent loss of livestock, the invention of the bicycle might have been delayed for decades. The terrifying and unexplained weather of 1816 led many to believe the world was ending. In the United States, this climate of fear contributed to the fervor of the Second Great Awakening. Religious revivals swept through the Northeast as people sought spiritual explanations for the darkened sun and frozen summers. New religious movements gained traction during this period, as the instability of the physical world drove thousands toward apocalyptic prophecies and a renewed focus on faith to provide security in an uncertain age. Thousands of families abandoned frozen New England farms, heading west in search of warmth and fertile land. This migration, known as Ohio fever, reshaped the Midwest, driven by both practical survival and the fear inspired by unusual, foreboding signs of the changing climate. The impact of Tambora was truly global, extending far into Asia. In China, the cold weather destroyed rice crops in the southern provinces, leading to widespread starvation. In India, the eruption disrupted the traditional monsoon patterns, causing a period of intense drought followed by torrential flooding. These abnormal conditions contributed to a mutation of the cholera bacterium, triggering a devastating global cholera pandemic that spread from the Ganges Delta across Asia and eventually reached Europe and North America, killing millions over the following years. At the time, no one understood the link between a volcano in Indonesia and the snow in New England. It wasn't until the 20th century that scientists fully pieced together the connection between stratospheric aerosols and global climate. By studying ice cores and tree rings, researchers confirmed the massive scale of the Tambora eruption and its cooling effect. This discovery revolutionized our understanding of climatology and volcanology, highlighting how a single geological event on one side of the planet can disrupt life everywhere on Earth. The year without a summer remains a powerful case study in the vulnerability of human civilization to sudden climate shifts. It demonstrates how a relatively small change in global temperature can lead to a cascading series of failures in agriculture, economics, and social order. Today, as we face modern climate challenges, the events of 1816 serve as a stark reminder of the fragile balance that sustains our food systems and the profound resilience required to survive a world that has suddenly turned cold and dark. Though the sun eventually returned and the volcanic ash settled, the world was forever changed by the events of 1816. From the birth of science fiction to the expansion of the American frontier and the invention of the bicycle, the year without a summer left a legacy that reaches into the modern day. It stands as a testament to humanity's ability to adapt and innovate even in the face of a global catastrophe, reminding us of our deep connection to the Earth's volatile and unpredictable power.